Tell us what is happening in China. There have been some Model 3s held up at customs.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point just how serious to take this, but this is a labeling issue where either labels were missing or there were labels that weren't in Chinese language. But this, it all makes me think back to a couple weeks ago when Dana Hull, our reporter in San Francisco, did this story about how Tesla was in the midst of this sort of mad rush to get as many cars over to China as it possibly could. They were worried about the idea that this trade war could ratchet back up and that tariffs could go up, and they wanted to get as many cars there as they could, and it seems like maybe they skipped some steps along the way or were a little bit sloppy in getting those cars.
So you don't think it's Tesla becoming a victim of the trade war?
I don't think so. I think, well, that sort of maybe remains to be seen, but you mentioned the Morgan Stanley report. I do think it's interesting that everybody has sort of thought, well, you know, China is the biggest auto market and also the biggest EV market. Therefore, once Tesla gets a cheaper car in that market, they're going to do great. And Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley says, not so fast. It may not be that simple.
It's interesting, Max, given that, you know, you and I were just talking about Musk being this diplomatic liaison between the United States and China, Tesla breaking ground on a factory there, and hope that somehow Musk could smooth over trade tensions.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this even. There's the sort of other side of the coin, which is that Musk could get caught up in trade tensions, and I think that's what we're seeing. And, you know, the other part of this is just, you know, demand for the Model 3 is so up in the air right now with, you know, Tesla closing the stores, basically people raising questions about how many people are really going to buy these cars, you know, on the internet, and then you throw this China thing into the mix, and it's really, you know, not great for Tesla right now.
Ivan, are you as concerned about this China issue as Morgan Stanley is?
Not so much for the demand for the car. I think demand for the car is going to still be strong. It's an incredible automobile. And when you really look on how far Tesla has come in just a short period of time, because to build an automobile company from scratch takes a lot of work. And he built the manufacturing facility. They put out an incredible car. He built the distribution channels. And the car is incredible. The brand equity is incredible. And I think that there's still a lot of demand, especially for this new Model 3.
Now, you're there visiting the Tesla factory. I'm sorry, I missed you. What did you see that was of significance in the context of Elon Musk seemingly abruptly deciding to close all the stores and go to online only?
Well, I think the choice to close the stores is to reduce costs to be able to deliver the Model 3 that can start at $35,000. There is one other company. Toyota Scion is the other company that does sell their cars over the internet, even though you do go to a Toyota dealership to pick it up. Scions are sold at fixed prices, the same way Teslas are. You order the car over the internet and pick up the car at a Toyota dealership. So it's not without precedent. The only thing I think they may miss out is if you drive the Model 3, it is an impressive car. And you really can't even get to know how impressive the car is unless you drive it. So, an electric car drives a little different than a traditional gas car because when you throttle back on the accelerator, it slows the car down. You don't really have to use the brake as much as you do in a traditional car. So it's a little different, and it's really a lot of fun.
Craig, put into context for us, though, you don't know how the car drives if you can't test drive it.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, where they are going to be closing most of the stores. They are talking about how some of the stores will convert to service centers, and that's going to be a big issue because it's really hard to listen to Musk talk about closing all these stores to cut costs while at the same time putting emphasis on this idea that they're going to improve their service, which has been showing signs of strain as to their credit. They've been delivering more cars. It's harder to get an appointment. The sort of infrastructure to handle repair work is sort of being taxed because this company suddenly has a lot more cars out there than they did before. And so, this whole idea of really doing a 180 on your retail strategy is, I think, what is sort of freaking everybody out here.
Max, there was an investor on Bloomberg earlier, James Anderson, who said Musk needs to step away from the public discourse, the tweets. It's not only that Musk he's so polarizing. There are people who love him and people who don't love him. There are people who love Tesla and don't love Tesla. Why is there no common ground here?
I mean, I think it gets to some of what makes Musk a really good marketer is that he's very good at kind of creating that polarization and painting a picture of the future that is so fantastic that it excites people, and in doing so you end up kind of turning people off. I don't know. It's hard to imagine Musk stepping fully away, even stepping fully away from Twitter, because he's been so effective at selling the car and selling his vision. And without Musk's Twitter feed, what do you have? They're not doing a lot of. They don't have commercials. They don't have stores. You kind of need him out there, or it's going to be hard for people to learn about this company. I mean, the one thing is, as Ivan says, people drive this car and they like it, and you could imagine sort of a word of mouth thing where you want to test drive your friend's Model 3. But again, it's hard to see how you're able to sustain the kind of growth that they want to see without spending significantly on advertising or without a lot of crazy tweets from Elon Musk.
Ivan, do you see it? Okay, let's take the tweets out of the equation. Without the tweets, do you see a lot of crazy demand?
Yes, I think the demand for the car is there. The car is a quality car. It's a good value. People really like them. And Tesla has a tremendous first mover advantage in the EV space.
Craig,
so,
would you agree, Craig?
I don't.
Yeah, I think, the idea that Tesla has not done any traditional advertising and has been able to do the volume that they have is impressive. The real test, though, for this company is predominantly the sales in this country have been in California, have been in their backyard, where they do have the greatest presence from a retail perspective, where they have a lot of stores, and people already were sort of inclined to buy these sort of greener vehicles. We saw the Prius catch on about a decade ago in California, and it was really a phenomenon there, and not necessarily in the rest of the country. And so it sort of remains to be seen whether this initial demand that we've seen for Tesla that has been impressive for the Model 3, whether they can carry that over through the rest of the country once they get past these sort of first movers or initial people who are excited about Elon and this company.
And quick, Max, do you think the Model Y will impact demand for the Model 3? Will it cannibalize demand for other Tesla cars?
You'd hope not if you're sitting in Elon Musk's shoes. On the other hand, he's very good at getting people excited about these new products. You could imagine a situation where people are about to pull the trigger on a Model 3. They see this amazing launch of the Model Y and say, "Hang on, let me wait." So I wouldn't be surprised if the Model Y launch tries to keep expectations kind of tamped down to some extent, at least compared to previous Tesla launches.